So I need very little excuse to procrastinate one of my currently active projects with another project, or shall we say, procrastination. Anyway, my wife loves Florence and the Machine, and I'm going to need you to find me someone more the living personification of Art Nouveau. I will wait. No, I will not, because we are actually going to her concert tomorrow, and I thought I would surprise her with a couple of Victorian-inspired flower crowns. So join me, because I know for a fact that you have need for an Art Nouveau headdress for some purpose or another. This is not a debate. This is going to be a tutorial for maybe 0.5 seconds whilst we make the base wire circlet. And then after that, when it comes to the design, it is every man for herself.
Most of this is stuff that I have just acquired through osmosis throughout my life. Going into trim shops, finding things on Etsy, finding things at antique shops and estate sales and cool little vintage millinery supplies that, you know, I just thought looked cool and I would use in a project one day, which, hey, I was right. I was justified in those purchases. Yeah, we've got plenty of beads, which will be useful for making up bead swags. We have got a profusion here of silk flowers. Most of these are from M&S Schmalberg, silk flower makers in New York. We love supporting traditional crafts in this establishment. A lot of these leaves are also from Schmalberg as well. We have got plenty of shells and rocks and minerals here. Little millinery paper flowers, often found at antique shops and trimming shops, little enamel berries and mushrooms and leaves and things. Paper wrapped wire is going to be great for making the base of the headband to secure everything to, but also is a great natural looking material that doesn't look too fake and plasticky and will give it a more naturalistic base. So step one, obviously you have the circumference of your head measurement, which you want to make sure fits your head, and that's just a straight piece of wire that is just wrapped and secured, and making sure the wire is pressed very firmly into the headpiece, which is what you want. Then you can go around and loop some additional, I'm actually gonna start from this end because that way we don't end up with two extra thick loopy bits here. I'm just gonna loop this wire around again. This will give us something to anchor the rest of the materials into. This wrapped wire is going to be snug, but not too tight. We still do want to be able to, for example, wedge a needle in here, but not so loose that things will fall out or slip around. And this does work a lot better with something like a paper wrapped wire where you've got that grip, rather than a wire on wire that will just kind of slide around. This doesn't have to be regular or even. In fact, it's kind of better if you do have some bits that are more tightly wrapped and some bits that are more loosely wrapped, because then you get some more variation in, first of all, in the texture of the base band, but also in the ability to not have things shoved into the crown quite so regularly, which can make it less organic.
I did order some flowers from M&S Schmalberg just because I knew for a fact that I needed some big fluffy flowers to go on the side of the face, as we see very often in the artwork of this time period. And also, as we see on the Florence and the Machine album cover, I think there's one of them that has big ear flowers. Anyway, so that's one thing that I knew for sure that I wanted in the design and needed to make sure that we had in stock.
Schmalberg have actually made this really easy on me because they've put safety pins on the back of their flowers, so I don't have to stitch these on, which is great. Okay, ear flowers, check.
So you can definitely go sourcing and buying materials for a flower crown if there's something specific that you want. But you could also, you know, make a flower crown out of whatever you can find around your house, what you can borrow from friends, steal from friends really, because I don't think they're gonna get it back. And just, you know, make it a little display of your treasures. So we have a great collection of little trinkety things that I think are gonna add just a different textural flavor to the headdresses that balance out the really soft elements of the flowers and the leaves, along with the sparkly, shiny elements of the beads. We've been experimenting with different methods for attaching these. The shells are definitely easy to drill through. Depending on the thickness of the shell, some of them are more delicate than others, but the shells were all quite easy to drill through and thus easy to string onto a wire and then wrap onto the headdress.
What if they just alternated? Oh, sweet.
Oh my god, this is gonna be so pretty.
Wow. Oh my god, I'm
put
so
flowers
excited.
in it.
Ah, it's all coming together.
This is looking good. I gotta do some more wrapping work around this, but okay, first of all, I'm gonna procrastinate. Shh. Okay, beads.
All these beads have been amassed from past projects because you never use all the beads that you buy for a project, so you always end up with lots of random little straggler beads and cool star-shaped beads that you bought once thinking it would be really neat, but you didn't actually have a direct use for.
Good. Gorgeous. So I think my next step is just to be attaching bead swags. I'm just gonna like go around and start stitching things on. This is a really thick silk buttonhole twist, which will just be really strong because there's gonna be a lot of stuff here that will have the potential to slice things open, and we just wanna make sure that the thread's nice and strong. And I'm treating this with some beeswax to make it extra strong and also to prevent it from tangling and producing knots, because that will just be a nightmare in this situation. It's gonna be a lot to catch on. So I'm just gonna start by tying a knot here with my thread, which is, you know, the exact same way you would do this as if you were hand sewing. Go through once, go through twice. You will probably need like an industrial grade thimble for this, unless you've actually followed my instructions and not wrapped your wire too tight, and your needle therefore is easy to slide through. However, this is not. So therefore, you know, metal thimble's probably gonna be best for this. Oh my god, you're gonna be so jingly.
I'm gonna be so jingly.
She has arrived. Oh, these
With
are
bells on.
so cute. Oh my god, can you drill a peanut?
We can string a peanut on you.
Hell yeah.
Yes. Oh?
Oh my god.
Whatever my wife wants, she shall have, including a pierced peanut.
Yes. Good.
The rocks were a bit more challenging. I know nothing about geology, but apparently in order to drill through certain hardnesses of rock, you need like diamond-tipped drills or acids to help drill through them. So anyway, we did not quite have 100% of the materials that we needed to drill through a rock. However, we did figure out how to wire wrap the rocks, which is a slightly less secure method, but it did actually end up working out quite well. Just wire wrapping them enough so that they stayed in place, and then wire wrapping the hell out of the bases, and then just kind of masking the bottom of that with some foliage, some beading, just making it look a little more intentional.
Oh, that's kind of fun. I'm gonna do that. The peanut's going on.
It's peanut time.
Hell yeah. Look, it's like a, it's a super secret peanut. Okay, so aside from the peanut, I'm also gonna put leaves.
One thing that comes in really helpful for a project like this are old millinery materials. So you can often find these at flea markets. They're really cheap. Sometimes you can find them in bulk on eBay. These sort of resin or paper or wire flowers, berries, organic sort of sprigs of things that were supposed to be used at one point to make beautiful hats and fascinators and things, but never got used, and so they're just dead stock. But they're still, you know, having been made however many decades or maybe even 100 years ago, they're really great quality. If you get the really properly old ones, they don't tend to be made from plastics or things that can end up looking cheap, but they're made from like proper, natural, organic materials that can actually end up lending a really great, tangible, real, grounded, earthy quality to your headpiece rather than a sort of cheap, plasticky Amazon type quality. That's something that I tend to try and avoid. It's not always 100% possible to achieve depending on, you know, what you can find. But since most of these materials have been slowly amassed over time, I know that these are materials that I've fallen in love with and felt are good quality enough to obtain throughout the years, rather than this is a project that I have to complete by tomorrow or next week, and I need these materials now, and I need to work with the budget that I have, and therefore have to make concessions on the quality of materials.
These I have acquired specifically for this task, these big lilies. They are vintage and they're silk pressed. You find a lot of these in the artwork. So I was like, we gotta have some lilies. Yeah, oh my God. More is more, bestie. You might at this point be asking why you don't just use a hot glue gun or just start gluing things like probably normal people would. I don't have a hot glue gun, so we're working with what I have here. Also because, I mean, these headpieces have been made and worn all throughout the 19th century and earlier. People have been making these for quite a while. And I just, you know, I'm just curious to see how you would do this using traditional craft methods. You know, if we don't have hot glue, as would not have been a thing in the Art Nouveau period, you would probably be wire wrapping things and sewing things together. There's a way to do it, and I'm gonna do it. I'm going to just attach a couple of bead swags because one of the things that a lot of these Art Nouveau headpieces have is a lot of beads, a lot of little dangly things, a lot of things hanging down. This is also another reason why I don't love using a lot of glues in my projects, is because when everything is just stitched together, everything is disassemblable. A headpiece like this has a lot of really interesting elements to it, and I mean, this is obviously for somebody else, but when I make things for myself, I like to have the option of disassembling it and making it into something else. If for some reason, say, one day I get bored of it, or it's not quite right for the event that I'm planning to go to, I can just disassemble it and reassemble it into something that I would prefer.
I will simply pass away. Oh my God.
Yeah. Just brushing these guys with some gilding wax, just to give them a little bit of pizzazz. Look, there's so much magic that can be created with gilding wax. Stunning.
Oh ho ho, I get to be hideously evil now and show you a sponsorship before the reveal, which I usually get to blame on a brand, except don't have that excuse today because this video is sponsored by our merch! I'm gonna tell you about all the really cool things that you might be interested in obtaining for yourself, but also in helping to support this channel. We've got loads of stuff over on DFTBA, the fantastic company that really takes sustainability into account and makes sure everything is ethically produced. So we've got some mugs, your saucy ankle mug. We've got tote bags. When I say we use these tote bags absolutely everywhere in the studio. We've got your essentials only tote. And then we've got your Menace to Polite Society tote with, of course, the scandalous woman riding a penny farthing. You know, typical Menace behavior. If you're someone who likes artwork on your wall and you want a piece of your favorite projects that you've seen on this channel, we've just released a set of prints as well as accompanying little tarot cards. We have also, Danny has given us permission to start releasing some of the pig portraits. So if you've seen some of the historical guinea pigs in the backgrounds, they are truly like my most prized possessions, and now you too can own a copy of historical guinea pigs. Possibly my favorite piece of merch is the little apothecary sticker that I have now currently on my laptop, but you could use this on a water bottle or wherever you feel like, from perhaps the most well-known video on this channel, unfortunately, the Saucy Ankles OnlyFans. Try as I might to be a serious historian, that is going to be my legacy, I fear. And I've also written a book. This is a guide to help you with your hand stitching, written from the perspective of historical reconstructions, so it's very structural, it's very strong. They're stitches that you can employ to make or mend entire garments. For those of you more crafty-minded people who want to get your hands on something, we have a fantastic collection of embroidery kits in collaboration with Hand and Lock. But for those of you who don't necessarily have the time to do embroidery yourself, we have got these gorgeous little pocket watch pins done with the traditional goldwork method if you desire something a bit more wearable. We will have a whole host of links down in the description box below if any of this takes your fancy and if you would like to make sure that this channel keeps on running and get yourself something really cool in the process. And now, on to the reveal.
Time to do the biggest squat workout of all time.
Do you think I can summon people with this?
I mean, you can summon me. What do you want?
Oh!
So elegant. And then even more elegant.
Yeah.